The late afternoon rain drummed against the tin roof of the small garage in Portland, Oregon. Marcus Thompson was wiping grease from his calloused hands when he heard the sputter and hiss of an engine dying just outside. Through the foggy window pane, he could see a vintage Harley-Davidson parked awkwardly at the curb, steam rising from the engine. Next to it stood a woman, tall, poised, soaked to the bone in a black leather jacket that clung to her like second skin. Her dark hair clung to her cheeks, and though she didn't wave or yell, something in her posture made Marcus pause. She wasn't panicked. She wasn't annoyed. She was just still, watching the rain hit the pavement like she'd been caught in something much heavier than a storm. Marcus pushed open the garage door, the old hinges creaking against the sudden gust of damp air. "Need a hand?" he asked, stepping out without a coat. He didn't mind the rain. Not anymore. The woman looked up slowly, as if she hadn't heard anyone speak to her in a while. Her eyes were piercing, not cold, just tired. "I think she overheated," she said, gesturing toward the bike. Marcus walked over and crouched beside the motorcycle, inspecting the engine. "You ride often?" he asked, mostly to fill the silence. "Sometimes," she replied, "when I need to think." He nodded, glancing at her boots, high-end, like the jacket. "Not a local." "Well, you found the right place. I can take a look if you've got a few minutes." She hesitated, then nodded. "Sure. Thank you." Back inside, Marcus wheeled the Harley into the garage and set to work. He didn't ask for her name right away. He'd learned people had their reasons for holding on to things, especially their names. The garage was his sanctuary. After his wife passed away 5 years earlier, it became more than a business. It became a lifeline. And with a 6-year-old son, Jordan, to raise alone, Marcus didn't have the luxury of falling apart. As he worked, the woman hovered nearby, occasionally glancing at her phone, but mostly watching him with a quiet intensity. "You've got a good setup here," she said. "Thanks. It's small, but it keeps us fed." "Us? My son and me. He's at his friend's place today. Likes to be around other kids, more than me elbow-deep in engines." She smiled faintly. "Sounds like you're doing a good job." Marcus gave a soft grunt of appreciation, then tightened a bolt. "Not sure about that. Just taking it one day at a time." She stepped closer, her arms crossed, but not defensively. That's the best way sometimes. When he finally finished patching up the Harley, he gave it a once-over and wiped his hands. "Should be good now. Try not to push her too hard in this weather. Old bikes need a little extra grace." She laughed, a low, melodic sound that took him off guard. "Don't we all?" Marcus smiled for the first time in hours. "That'll be $40. But if you're tight, we can call it 20. Just glad I could help." The woman reached into her jacket and pulled out a sleek wallet, designer unmistakably. She handed him a $100 bill. "Keep the change." He blinked. "That's more than generous." She shrugged. So was stepping out into the rain to help a stranger. He wanted to say something else, but she was already strapping her helmet on. Before she mounted the bike, she turned back. "I'm Lila, by the way." Marcus hesitated. "Marcus." "Thanks, Marcus. For everything." And with that, she revved the engine and disappeared into the misty street, her tail light vanishing around the corner. That night, Marcus tucked Jordan into bed, the boy clutching his favorite stuffed dinosaur. As he read aloud from a worn book, his thoughts kept drifting back to the woman with the quiet voice and the haunted eyes. There was something about her he couldn't place. Not just her looks, though she was beautiful, but something deeper. A weight she carried without complaint. The kind of weight he knew too well. The next morning, he found himself watching the street more than usual. It was foolish, he told himself. She was probably just passing through. But she came back. 3 days later, as Marcus was replacing brake pads on a beat-up Ford, he heard that same distinct engine growl and looked up to see Lila pulling into the driveway. She parked, took off her helmet, and smiled. "I figured I owed you a proper thank you." Marcus wiped his hands. You did that already, with interest. I brought coffee. And muffins. He arched a brow. Bribery. Gratitude, she said, holding up a cardboard tray. They sat in the back of the shop, beneath the overhang where the rain couldn't reach. She handed him a paper cup and a blueberry muffin wrapped in a napkin. So, is it always this quiet around here? Pretty much. Except when Jordan's around. Then it's chaos. She sipped her coffee. How old is he? 6. Loves dinosaurs and cartoons. Hates broccoli and bedtime. She chuckled. Smart kid. Over the next hour, they talked. Not just about bikes or kids or weather, but life. He told her a bit about losing his wife, about how he almost sold the garage, but changed his mind the day Jordan asked, "Where will we go now, Daddy?" She listened closely, not interrupting, not trying to fix anything, just being there. When he finally asked her what she did for a living, she paused. Let's just say I help run things. Marcus grinned. Like a manager? Something like that. What he didn't know, what he couldn't have guessed, was that Lila Walker wasn't just a manager. She was CEO of Walker & Stratton, one of the most powerful real estate development firms in the Northwest. She kept it quiet not out of shame, but because she'd long since learned that her title scared people off. Or worse, attracted the wrong kind. The truth was, Lila had been running for a while. From fake friends. From pressure. From the gnawing loneliness that her success couldn't cure. That day at the garage, she hadn't just taken the Harley out for a ride. She needed to get lost, and she did. Right into the only place that had felt real in months. So she kept coming back. Not every day. Not predictably. But enough that Marcus began to expect her, even look forward to her visits. She'd bring coffee, or help sweep the floor, or just sit and talk. Sometimes she asked about the tools, and he'd show her how to use them. Other times, she asked about his wife, what she was like, how they met. And slowly, Marcus let her in. One Friday, when Jordan was at his grandparents' for the weekend, Lila stayed a little later. They shared takeout on the hood of a truck, laughing about how terrible the egg rolls were. The sun dipped behind the horizon, and the street lamps cast long shadows across the pavement. You're different, you know, she said suddenly. Marcus looked up. Different how? You don't want anything from me. Not even answers. That's rare. He shrugged. I figured if you wanted to share more, you would. She met his eyes. Maybe I do. And in that moment, something passed between them. Not a spark exactly, but a warmth. A kind of quiet understanding. Two people who'd been through their own wars, recognizing the same bruises in someone else. But what Marcus didn't know was that Lila's past was about to catch up. And when it did, it would test everything they'd built so far. Marcus didn't see Lila for 4 days after that evening. He tried not to read into it. Maybe she was traveling. Maybe she'd changed her mind. He kept busy with customers and school drop-offs, telling himself that their connection had been real, but maybe not meant to last. But on the 5th day, she returned, though this time, not on her Harley. She pulled up in a black Range Rover, windows tinted, license plate bearing nothing but a sleek W&S1. Marcus had no idea what it meant. He just recognized her as she stepped out, dressed far more formally than usual, pressed blazer, silk blouse, heels instead of boots. A small entourage of 2 men followed her like shadows, stopping just shy of the garage entrance. Lila walked up to him slowly, her face unreadable. I need to talk to you, she said. Alone. Marcus nodded, glancing past her at the 2 men. You're friends. Security, she said quietly. Ignore them. They stepped into the back of the garage, with a cluttered tool shelves and peeling posters, felt oddly comforting. I should have told you sooner, Lila began. I'm not who you think I am. Marcus folded his arms. All right. Then who are you? She hesitated, then said it. Lila Walker, CEO of Walker & Stratton. It's a real estate firm. Global. Probably the biggest in the Northwest. My family's company, and now mine. Marcus blinked, processing. Walker, like the tower downtown? She nodded. And the marina. And the tech hub in Beaverton. And a few others. It landed like a weight between them, heavy and awkward. I didn't lie, she said quickly. I just didn't tell you everything. I didn't want you to treat me differently. Marcus looked away, jaw tightening. And yet you knew that once I found out, everything would change anyway. I hoped it wouldn't. Lila, you've been showing up here, drinking gas station coffee and sweeping my floors while you're, what? Signing billion-dollar deals behind the scenes. I didn't come here to pretend, she said, her voice cracking slightly. I came here because it was the only place where I didn't have to. That stopped him. I've spent my whole life in boardrooms filled with people who either fear me or fake their loyalty, she continued. But you didn't know me. You didn't want anything. You saw me struggling on the side of the road, and you helped. No questions. No expectations. Do you know how rare that is? Marcus ran a hand down his face, letting out a slow breath. I'm not angry. Just trying to understand. I'm telling you now because I didn't want this us to be built on half-truths. Us, he echoed. She stepped closer. I don't know what this is yet, but I know it matters. I know you matter. He looked at her, this woman who had gone from mystery biker to powerful CEO, and for the first time, he saw the full weight she carried. Success, yes, but isolation too. Responsibility that never slept. Fame that never felt real. And beneath all of that, someone deeply, painfully human. I appreciate the truth, he said after a long silence, but I need some time to figure out what it means. She nodded, accepting that without pushing. Of course. She turned to leave, but he stopped her with a gentle hand on her arm. Lila. She looked back. You still want to grab coffee sometime? A flicker of relief passed through her eyes. Yeah, I'd like that. Over the next few weeks, their bond deepened, not in the dazzling whirlwind way of fairy tales, but through quiet gestures and steady presence. Lila brought Jordan a new backpack with dinosaur prints and spent time helping him with a class project. Marcus, in turn, helped her learn how to change the oil on her Harley without making a mess, laughing when she cursed and splashed it everywhere. Still, whispers started spreading in town. A customer recognized her from a magazine cover and posted about it online. What's the billionaire Lila Walker doing at Thompson Auto Care in Portland? The post went viral. Suddenly reporters showed up. Cameras hovered near the driveway. One even tried to sneak photos through the back window while Marcus was helping Jordan with homework. Lila came to the garage that night, visibly shaken. I'm so sorry. I thought we'd be under the radar. Marcus looked tired but calm. You weren't trying to hurt anyone. That's what matters. But your son, he's more confused than upset. I told him you're kind of like Batman. Rich, mysterious, but fighting your own battles. That made her laugh. But they both knew things were changing. Then came the board meeting. Lila's advisors were furious. Dating a single dad who runs a garage? Do you understand the optics? She fired back. Do you understand I don't care? They tried to threaten her with public image damage, whispers of shareholder doubts. She stood her ground. Then one of them crossed a line. We could buy him out. Set him up with a nice shop somewhere out of town. Keep it quiet. Make him disappear. She stood up, furious. You'll do no such thing. She left the room before she said something she couldn't take back. The next day, she showed up at Marcus's place, unusually quiet. Jordan was at a sleepover. They want to pay you off, she said bitterly. They think you're a liability. Marcus didn't even flinch. That's their problem, not mine. But it affects us. They'll keep pushing. I don't want to drag you into this." "Too late," he said with a grin. "I was in the moment you showed up in the rain." She sighed, sinking onto his worn couch. "So what do we do?" "We live our lives," he said simply. "Let them talk." In time, the noise quieted. People moved on to new gossip. The media lost interest when no scandal emerged. Just a woman who rode a motorcycle and fell in love with a mechanic and his dinosaur-obsessed son. A year later, Marcus expanded the garage with funds he'd saved and some quiet investment from Lila. Not as a handout, but a partnership. She refused to be silent about it anymore. "Let them know," she said proudly. "You earned it." Jordan adored her, calling her Miss L at first, then just Lila. She took him on slow rides on her Harley, with full safety gear of course, and he'd laugh the whole way down the block. Marcus never proposed. Not right away, but one night, sitting by the fire pit in their small backyard, he handed her a ring. Not flashy, not gold, just a brushed silver band he'd made from an old wrench. "I don't need a ceremony to love you," he said, "but I'd like to grow old with you, if that's still something you're looking for." She nodded, tears slipping down her cheek. "I've been searching for a long time. I just didn't know what for. Now I do." They were never the power couple on magazine covers. They didn't care. Their story wasn't one of fame or fortune. It was of two broken hearts who found something whole in each other. And sometimes, all it takes to change your life is one act of kindness in the rain.